Today I want to talk about C# TPL task continuation and as to how you can use it or take advantage of it. So let's get started and let's take a look at the starter code. Basically, the starter code is very simple. I just print parent task executing. I start a task called first task here, and I call it the antecedent because that's kind of the first task that comes before anything. And then I'm going to just wait for the antecedent to complete, and if there are any exceptions, I'm going to print the exception. So let's take a look at the first task program method. It's very simple. It says first task started, it does a spin wait, and then says first task completed. So very straightforward. We also want to see what the print exception does. I've done an earlier video to show how to catch aggregate exceptions, so you can take a look at how to do that. But it's basically catching it and printing it. So that's all there is to this first program, where basically I have one task called the antecedent and it runs. So let's say what is the expected output here. The expected output should be very straightforward. It should be first thing is parent task executing, then we are waiting for the child task. In the child task, as I said, we are doing this first task method, so it will print first task started, first task completed, and then it will come back in the parent and says parent is completed. So this is all that good. But now coming to the continuation, where we basically want to run a task after this task is completed. So what we can set it up like this, and the method you want to use is called continue with. Basically it means that this antecedent is completed, then only you will start this continue, and then you'll run this method. And the reason it's saying as squiggly is because I have to uncomment that. So let me uncomment this method. Do work is uncommented. I also need to wait for the subsequent task to complete, and I'm running it in a different try catch block so we can see the exceptions from the subsequent one. And now this program can be run. Basically, once the antecedent is done, we'll run the subsequent task and we'll see the printout. And in the subsequent task also, we are just saying do work started, do work completed, and so it's pretty straightforward. So if I run the clear the screen and then just run .NET run, basically you can see parent task started, first task started and completed, and then the subsequent task started and completed, and then the parent has completed. So this is actually pretty good. What about the cases? There are special cases when you want to run the continue with, or you don't want to run continue with. So what we can do is we can supply to it which are called the task continuation options. And for example, I'm just specifying a task continuation option which says only on run to completion. So if the first task ran to completion, then only you run this. So since in our program it is already running to completion, we should see no, actually the output would be pretty much the same. If you want to understand how many options are there for task continuation, there are lots of options. You can look at the Microsoft definitions. And in this case, I'm using this one only on ran to completion. So only when the antecedent runs to completion, then I run it. So if I clear the screen again, the output should be exactly the same because my task is running properly and it is running to completion. So now I want to show you what the difference would come. So let's say I'm going to just throw an exception here, and I'm going to comment this code so I don't get any compiler warnings or anything. So now the first task is actually not completing properly, and then we should not see the second task even try to run, because we have this we only want to run this only on ran to completion. And on the subsequent task, you'll see an exception, but that's I will explain. So let's say clear, and then you say .NET run, and you can see parent task is executing. In the antecedent, we get a test exception because we already started it at that point, and we get this antecedent exception here. And then and we also get another exception because since we are waiting for the antecedent, a task was cancelled, and then we get parent as completed. but you will see that there is no output here do work or anything, because we specify we only want to run the antecedent only on completion. So you can play around with these exceptions. Let's say if we wanted to do this other way around and say um, only on faulted, basically that's what means when there is an exception. So now you would see that the do work would have run, but there is no printout in the do work, so you cannot really. Oh yeah, there is a printout in the do work, so you should be able to see that. Let's see. So here you can see the do work has started, do work had completed, because I specified that I want to have the second task only run on faulted. So one example usage of doing all this continuation with options can be, let's say you have a bank transaction, and if bank transaction goes smoothly, then you just want to withdraw the money and debit the account. But suppose the transaction does not go smoothly, there's some problem, then you want to reconcile the transaction or basically cancel it, and you can specify those with whatever task you want to do after that. So thank you for watching this short screencast, and you have a great day.